Hello folks, my name's Chuck and this is Hiking with Roulette Run. And today I'm getting ready to do some winter test camping. I'm set up in my yard actually. I've got my 3FUL Gear Land Shannon 2 tent set up behind me. And right now it's 26 degrees out here, but tonight is expected or forecast to go down to 12 degrees. And I'm going to be out here camping in it, and I wanted to go over my cold weather camping setup. And I'm going to start right here with my sleeping pad, which is a Deluxe gear, and it's a 5.0 R value sleeping pad. And I've never had all of this gear that I'm going to be testing out down to these kind of temperatures, even though they are rated for these temperatures. And I want to give it a try here in the yard and see how it functions before taking it out on a hike somewhere at sub 15 degree temperatures and being stuck out there and being frozen with no way to get back to transportation or back to home or wherever I might be. And so I wanted to start out with this sleeping pad. This is their Elite, I believe it is, model, and it's R5.0 as I said. And inside this there is a mylar lining, and it's also got a kind of a very thin fiber lining inside here. And hopefully this is a good base to get started with. Now the next thing I'll be adding to this sleep system is my Deluxe Gear inflatable pillow. And it has a nice soft cover top on this to make it comfortable. But I've also added a very thin fiber filled pillow in between the air bladder and the actual surface of the pillow, just to give it a little more loft to help raise it up just a little bit further. I actually find this to be a little thin. Also, you might notice this pad appears to be pretty well underinflated. I actually inflated this pad inside in the warm air. I brought it out here into this 26 degree air temperature, and it has gone down quite a lot, which I kind of planned for because I like my pad slightly underinflated because I'm a side sleeper. And I will tell you, this pad is a 4-inch thick pad, and I've had it out for multiple nights, and never once have I had my hips or my shoulders touching the ground as a side sleeper. So up to this point, I think 30 degrees is about as cold as I've had it outside, and I've been very satisfied with its performance this far. The next thing I'm adding to my sleep system is this Sea to Summit Reactor sleeping bag liner. And primarily I've got this sleeping bag liner to help protect my quilt, which is a rather expensive quilt that I'll get into here in just a minute. And primarily to help protect the quilt from body oils and whatnot, because I would rather be washing this liner than overwashing my sleeping bag. However, in these kind of temperatures, it will give just a little bit of warmth, although it's not very thick. It's kind of like I would say it's a synthetic, but it's maybe like a thin t-shirt, and it's very stretchy. And I've had that and used it several times already, and have no issues with it being too tight, or it seems to move well with me inside my quilt. And I don't know, it says it might give a few degrees of insulation property to the system, but trust me, when I hold it up like this, I can see things through the other side, so I don't know how much it will give, although I will get into something along that line here when I probably do my next video, which I'll probably go into my garments that I'm wearing for winter camping. Okay, so before I get too far into this quilt, I want to go back over a couple things that I failed to mention. And that one is in regarding to the sleeping pad, and the other one is in regards to the pillow. The sleeping pad does have a top fill, and it's like a two-way valve over here with an inner and outer that can be used to both inflate and deflate the pad. and makes it a whole lot easier, especially if you want to adjust your air pressure. Typically, excuse my loudmouth chickens back here, that two-way valve makes it easy. If you want to overinflate to begin with, you can get right in there to that valve and deflate a little bit and adjust the pad to your preferred firmness setting. And also this pillow, I didn't mention that it does actually have a pad strap that keeps it from wandering all over the place while you're sleeping on it. And I find that very helpful. And then now we'll start getting into the sleeping bag, and it does come with these highly adjustable pad straps right here that allow you to connect your pad to the sleeping bag and help to keep the edges of your bag basically sealed to the mat. Okay, so this is a UGQ Underground Quilt 10-degree quilt that I've purchased, and in fact all of this gear is gear that I purchased myself, and so nobody has provided, nobody has paid me to make any kind of comments regarding their equipment. I just happened to do my research and decided that this would be the quilt for me, and primarily again it's because I'm a side sleeper and I do a lot of tossing and turning, and so I purchased this quilt. This is the basic fabric on the out, or the inner on the outer is their basic. I went with purple and blaze orange. I went with blaze orange in case maybe at some point I might need to use that blaze orange as an emergency beacon. I could open this up just as it is. Now, and this particular quilt has no taper to it, which is the way I ordered. It can be ordered with a taper. It also does have a zipper foot box down here, and I have purchased both the foot and neck collars to help seal in the warm air inside the quilt. I have to take my gloves off to manage this. Helps if you have the zipper all the way down. Some things just work better with bare hands. There we go. Take it up to this snap, then snap it closed. And down here at the foot box, a lot of people complain that when their foot box is pulled closed, it doesn't really close all the way around, which was one of the reasons why I went with the overstuffed, actually, collars at the bottom and the top. And you can pull this as tight on both sides, and the wind's trying to play with the quilt. And not be very cooperative here. You can sense these down, and has these little toggles here at the bottom to help keep it from coming undone. It also has a snap. That I can pull and snap across here to help keep from pulling the toggles loose. And that makes for a very nice, and I'll stuff these cords inside the holes here so they don't get snagged on anything. And in my experience at 30 degrees, I have had absolutely no cold air coming in through the foot whatsoever, and I've been very satisfied with that. And then up here on the sides, we have these locks where it snaps into the side strap, or the straps going around the pad. pad straps, whatever you want to call them. However, it's appearing like silly me, I have the pad straps backwards. Now there actually is left and right sides, or male and female, male clips and female clips that go on a particular side to match the quilt here. And best I can figure is that gives you the option of snapping the quilt together much like a sleeping bag if you choose. Snap. Now I chose the 850 fill power on this particular quilt. They do offer a 950 fill power. That was a personal preference of my own. Now one other option that I did go for on this quilt is that it does have what are known as side tensioning straps, which actually help to add a little bit of tension along the sides to help better. I know it's here somewhere. There we go. And it also has one of these little clips there, so that once you pull the straps, then it will keep them in place where you've tensioned it down to. Now, and as I purchased this, as it weighs, I've put it on my scale, and I weigh it at 2.50, wait a minute, 2.06 pounds. So basically 2.5 pounds as it sits. Okay, so this is my sleep system as far as my pad, my sleeping bag liner, my pillow, and my quilt. So I chose, as I told you, I chose orange for the inner, and I chose purple simply because purple happens to be my favorite color. So there it is. One other very important thing to mention: this this quilt does actually come with neck tensioners as well, and it can also be clipped to go around your neck. I would be neglectful if I failed to mention that. Okay, so we are basically set up to camp tonight. So I'm out here in my tent tonight. Again, this is my second night, but tonight it is currently about 36 degrees and expected to go down to about 15 by morning. By morning, when I say morning, by about 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's going to get good and cold tonight. It's very windy. We're just going to see how we go with it tonight and try to stay warm. So it's been several days since I started the recording of this video, and I've spent several nights out here in the tent and reached temperatures down to 15 degrees. 15 degrees is the absolute coldest I would ever want to spend with this particular sleep system. And I'm saying probably somewhere 25 to 30 degrees is going to be like the comfort rating with it. And what gives up that goes first is the sleeping pad. That's an R5 sleeping pad, and the cold begins coming up through the bottom. And that makes for a pretty uncomfortable night once you start getting cold from the bottom. The top half with the quilt and the sleeping bag liner keeps me plenty warm on that half. But I'm old enough to remember water beds, and if you've ever tried to sleep on a cold water bed, you can't pile enough covers on top of you to feel comfortable. That chill, or I should say the cold water, or in this case, the cold ground, cold sleeping pad, will actually suck the heat out of your body. And you just can't pile enough on top of you to stay warm when that heat is being drawn out of your body like that. So that's where I'm at. I'm very, very satisfied with the system. The main purpose of all this was to determine what its limitations are. It's much safer and better to be here at either house or a very short hike out away from transportation or shelter where you can ditch and get warm if you need to. And so that was the purpose of this whole experiment. And in fact, right now it is currently in the 40s, but tonight it is expected to drop down to 25 degrees. And so I plan on gearing up as far as my layers, and I'm going to give it another shot at 25 degrees and see if I can maintain comfort overnight when I'm layered up with about 3 layers of clothing. And I'll let you know in the next video when I go over that kind of clothing that I'm going to be wearing. So folks, stay tuned. There's more to come.